Hello and welcome to France at the beautiful circuit that's home to a rather iconic 24-hour race. That would be Circuit de Surf. ZP's gonna murder me for the pronunciation there. Le Mans.
Yeah, it's just SART. Simple enough.
But here we are for round 9 of Endurance for Amateurs, the 100-minute GT3 race series here. And it's a wonderful day, it looks like, here in France. How are you, ZP?
Doing pretty good. It's a good day. It's an iconic track, one that everybody in endurance racing knows.
Yes, it is. I mean, you can't be into endurance racing without knowing about this wonderful race here, this wonderful track. Of course, we won't be doing 24 hours here tonight. We'll only be doing about an hour and a little over a half. But it'll be just about as exciting, if not a little more.
I didn't want to do 24 hours, so that's okay.
Yeah, I did not want to sit here and broadcast it for that long either. But I think it'll be a wonderful race. It's a huge track here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a qualifying lap is just barely under 4 minutes long, so it's certainly not as busy as the Nürburgring, but it's a second longest track of the season and one that has some real turns that can really kill your lap time if you don't take them right.
Yeah, one of those turns I've personally found to be would be the good old hairpin at the top of the Mulsanne straight here. It's kind of difficult if you get it wrong.
Yeah, Mulsanne's is a very notable one, especially if someone has knocked away those entry cones in front of you. I think Tertre Rouge going into the straight is a real big deal turn because it's just really easy to go wide, and then you get a massive slowdown. The slowdown you get going down that straight is huge. It's like a 3 second, ends up being like 6. So heavy incentive for the drivers to not go wide in that corner because you'll lose a couple spots.
Yeah, and as you're describing the track, how about you take us for a ride here with Mr. Christopher Newby down in 7th?
Yeah, he's going to come up to a Dunlop here. This one, at least in this loadout, should be flat out. And you're just worrying about the chicane that's up the hill. It's a hidden apex over the crest. Going to brake right about there after that white line. Trying to be safe. You can't go outside of those track limits there. You'll get a slowdown. This little descent here, pretty simple. Nothing too crazy. You're going to brake around the access road there on the right. Keep it inside for Tertre Rouge coming up. And this one, you just have to take it as fast as you can without going out wide. It's easier said than done. Right here. So on the left side, if you don't get back in by the time that blue ends, you will get a slowdown, and you'll have to serve it during this extremely long straight section, which is a public road. And that's why it's actually kind of tented in the middle as well. But you have to saunter your way over to the left, coming up to the first of 2 chicanes to make this straight safe enough to run. Breaking around the 200 mark, something like that. A little bit after that. Fast on the entry and just trying to line up the exit. You can go really wide here just as long as you don't have like all 4 wheels over the line. Again, another very long straight section coming up to the second chicane, this one to the left. And this one, you brake even later. You're going to look for maybe even past the 100-meter board, depending on how brave you're feeling and how the tires are feeling. This one's a faster one. You're going to send it in to the left. And again, you got to maximize your exit speed because it's another straight after you come out. However, of course, shorter than the first 2. So you have to keep it inside that section there. If you go wide there, you'll get a slowdown. Easy enough to avoid. Just a little kink here. Nothing that the car will struggle with. Coming into the Mulsanne hairpin, as you had mentioned. A tough one that, especially when it's dark, really tough to nail. And it's important because you have another long straight after it. So you're going to brake around the apex, going completely straight. You don't want to be turning too much while braking while turning. And then getting it going for the 4th long straight. So there's a reason that we see a lot of these Porsches out here. I think that must be that they're the best in the straights because they are clearly dominating the timing boards right now. Coming up to what I think is the hardest corner on the track, which is Indianapolis here. It's a dip down to the right. You have to brake while turning. There's just really no other option to take it quickly. And it comes up to an extremely sharp left-hander given all the turns we had before. So braking right when you get to the bottom while still turning, taking it left, coming up to Arnage here. Not as difficult braking, after like the 50, but it does close up. It's tighter than 90 degrees, so you don't want to go wide into that wall. Another straight, this one would be like a normal length straight for any track, but it's the shortest one on the track here. Coming up to Porsche, which is famous. It's exciting. It's uphill, so you get some compression to help you out with the grip, because you are going to be taking it quite fast. It's really not much of a braking event. You just kind of do a little bit of a lift, keep hung in there. Going to take a Virage DuPont. And this one, I think, well, right there, we almost saw him lose it, but we'll see mistakes here for sure. Drivers spinning, hitting the wall, and then they're in the way of everyone else. Right here, this is a Corvette. People are going to go wide here and get a penalty. Right here, if you go into those yellow strips, you will get a slowdown. We'll see a ton of it, I guarantee it. Going through Maison Blanche there, and they're coming up to the Ford chicane, followed by Recordement, which are two chicanes that are just super weird. They're not like, when you first do this track, you're slow, and it takes a lot of expertise and practice to get those right. So the drivers who have done a lot of practice here and have spent a lot of time will fly through that section.
They will, and now in the blink of an eye, that was almost 4 minutes that we spent watching that lap. So that just tells you how long this lap really is, although it doesn't feel like it when you're in the car.
No, it can. It's really easy on those straights to zone out a little bit, and then the turn starts to approach, and you're like, "Wait, where am I supposed to brake again?" And it's happened to me more than a couple times.
I know we raced here last season with the GT4 cars. I'm pretty sure that Marcus Osborne had to bring a book for these straights, just so he wouldn't fall asleep. He just had to stay entertained.
Yeah, I can say that I did a Lotus 49 here race here. That was not the case. It was even the historic one, and you had to lift going through that kink at the end of the Mulsanne that I mentioned. That's like nothing for these cars. It was terrifying. So it can be, if you got a fast enough car, but a GT3 is slow enough and stable enough that those straights can definitely put you to sleep.
Oh, for sure. And one of the other things that's a problem here is you'll see that cone kicked out to the right there. Even though the track is still there and there's no real indication, you can get an off track just by going to the left side of that cone. So we might see a few drivers, it might not be as common as I might think it would be, but some drivers may end up with an off track just from driving an inch too wide there.
I would say that I'm in the history of this league. This track has frequently had, especially, now that we get even more incentive to low incident counts, this one has always had a ton of people with 0 incident points. Plenty of slowdowns, because that's the thing, is this track just gives you slowdowns everywhere. Tertre Rouge, Corvette, either of the two chicanes, but to like get an off track usually kind of has to happen at the Arnage hairpin. Other than that, a lot of these drivers are probably going to get through with 0. And then again, it's easy to stay within one lap because it's so long. So I think we'll see a lot of bonus points for this race.
All right. So bonus points are a go tonight. Hopefully for everybody. Maybe we'll all get that extra bonus point for having 0 X's if, now that's if, nobody makes contact with somebody else.
Yeah, of course. And there's a couple sections like those, at the end there with like Porsche and DuPont where it's, a car that spins in front of you.
Yes. We lost you a little bit there, but
sorry.
All good. But when you spin, especially in these tight sections like Marcus Osborne's going through right now, it's kind of hard to redirect your car without completely throwing off the balance and losing it yourself. So it might be interesting.
Yeah, the drivers are using a medium downforce setup for this track instead of the high, so it's a little bit harder to control. but in the especially those corners at the end, the last part of the track is certainly the hardest part. But it kind of had to be done because the cars on high downforce were just hitting the rev limiter way too quickly on those straights.
Yeah, I mean, we had a similar problem, I think, when we had the GTE, where the GTE3 cars were about just as fast as them going down the straights in the draft, right? If I remember
Well,
correctly.
yeah, I mean the cars themselves are I mean, not that GT hardly exists anymore, but really not that different already. It really does come a lot down to the aero on the speed difference. But yeah, that was certainly something. And obviously with all these drivers being the same class or same car, class, it won't be something that they have to deal with today at least.
But we will see those interclass battles coming tonight, I'm sure, because if we take a look at our overall standings, we're going to see a GTDM spy amongst the pros. And that man right there would be Daniel Real and kind of Michael De La Sala. But Daniel Real is up there in P6 overall, leading his division by, let's see, about 4 cars, 4 pro drivers.
Yeah, not surprising to see that. During practice, he was second overall in time, and actually Christopher Newby and Christopher Craig were third and fourth in practice. But Newby is, I mean, he's still third for class, but I don't see Christopher Craig's time on there at all. So he had some really good pace during practice, but he hasn't replicated that lap during qualifying, unfortunately.
Well, hopefully he can pick it up on this lap, because we have 15 seconds until that clock runs out and we head to the gridding procedure. So,
at the very least, we know that that's someone, oh, he actually has no qualifying time. Is he potentially, he's on the track. Okay. He just has no time in yet. He has 5 invalidated laps. So he's going to be starting from the rear, but we do know that he has a lot of pace, so he'll be a driver to watch for sure in that orange Mercedes.
he definitely will be. And now, when we talk about drivers to watch, who is your pick for the night?
Well, I mean, that's a good vote right there, Christopher Craig, and a driver in GTD AM that easily putting in times faster than every pro driver except for Tyler Lingenberg during practice. One that just hasn't put a lap here in qualifying yet, or a valid lap, but one that clearly has the pace for his class. And then also Paul Skip. I would believe that this has to be his best qualifying for the season. Nearly a second off of Terry Kiger Jr., which it is a long track, but that's still very impressive. But this is Skip's best outing so far this year. Reigning champ.
He is doing
of GTE
very well, yeah. But look at the gaps out in front. There's a 9/10 gap between Terry Kiger Jr. and Paul Skip. And there is a 1.3 second gap between Daniel Real and Michael De La Sala. That is, again, a long track, but still very impressive by those two.
Yeah, it can be hard to try to judge how much that really is, given that we have track times that are, almost double of what a normal track would be. So, imagine it split by half. But again, still, if Terry Kiger Jr. got pole by 5/10 on any other track, that would be a very impressive gap. Or Dan Real's, half of 1.3 being like 6/10, that would be a huge gap. So, very impressive. Results from the two drivers leading their classes right now.
Yeah, really, really good from both of them. Now, where's Mark Dillon Jr. tonight? He is in 4th. He's always my man to pick. I think he has a special livery now, different from what he used to run. We may have discussed, but I'm always going to put my money on him to produce something great from nothing, because he can hop into the car with no practice and still win the race.
Well, he was sandbagging during practice. His best lap in practice was 3 seconds slower than what he's done in quals.
So that's a sign of his rapid improvement that he does in the Mark Dillon style. So we may see something wonderful from him tonight.
Christopher Craig is still on track. I think that he may. This one may be a valid lap. He's currently just past the Porsche curves. And it's green in all of his sectors so far, but obviously the timing thing that you see down there is incorrect because it's just the time speeds up for some reason when the clock hits 0. Whatever. We'll see where this actually places him. Certainly we'll put him higher than 36th overall, provided that it's a clean lap.
I'd hope so. Only 2 more corners to go now after this one, and we'll see where he comes out.
Leaving it to the very end. Let's see what time this is.
Very interesting livery on that car as well. That puts him P2.
Wow. See?
Wow.
Good things come to those who wait.
Yeah. Christopher Craig in the last minute. Not even. Well, the last, I guess, 14 minutes according to the clock. Negative. Puts it on P2 on the front row of the GTDM class. What a qualifying lap for him.
Yeah, well done. With you got one chance. It's very impressive to put in, and yeah, he even had a purple final sector. So that was the best that he had done in that sector.
For sure. So that should be everybody, and we'll be able to take a look at our grid in just a moment. Who are we waiting on here?
Trying to see. It's such a long track, so someone could definitely be out still. I'm
not
scrolling
seeing
through.
anybody on track.
Yeah. There's some people like in their cars in the pits, but this might be, auto progressed.
May see one of the admins take over control, like yourself.
I don't want not being in the chat. Marker Zach will take care of it. But I don't know what we're waiting on. No drivers driving, so the suspense is killing me. But yeah, I mean, De La Sala, they're third in GTDM. A really good qualifying outing for him. Again, 4/10 ahead of newbie behind. And then again, we were looking at GTD Pro. We see Ryan Tyler just barely missed it out. Came very close to Terry Kiger Jr.'s time. In the Mercedes, which, interestingly enough, Mercedes for Craig and Tyler, both putting in fast second place times at the very end. But it seems like the Porsche is the pick for this race from most of the drivers up there. So, just interesting to see how this is going to work out. But it's good to see Tyler back after he's missed a few races, and Paul Skip up there in the top 3 as well.
Yeah, it seems like, oh, there we go. That's the grid sequence here. We'll get back to that thought in just a minute as we take a look at the grid. Terry Kiger Jr. puts it on pole for GTDM with a 352.8. Nice lap from him. Ryan Tyler takes second place, followed by Paul Skip, and then Will Borland. Daniel Real on pole for GTDM. Nick Paletti, Tyler Langenberg, Christopher Craig, Adrian Garcia Vahil, Brad McCombs, Aaron Claybaugh, Michael De La Sala rounds out the top 12.
Following after that, we have Patrick Ripley, followed by Christopher Newby, Don McCloy, Mark Dillon Jr., Keith Roycroft, Paul Boyle, Steve Kube, Richard Curry, Jeff McDonald, Marcus Osborne, James Foreman, and Gareth McAllister.
And then following him, Andrew Neri, Roger Schenk, Sasha Kempter, Zach Nurnberger, John Kelly, Steven Shepard, Donovan Johnston, Ryan Glover, James Kingsbury, Dave Ferrara, Dustin Dos Weiss, and Daniel Barnett.
And Dale Hinkley.
As well. Now that's a 37-car grid here tonight. That's really big. I think we'll have 36 cars take the start.
There's room on track for it. As far what I'm seeing, every driver's in session. Hingley, I noticed, keeps getting kicked out with his connection, but he's back in, so we may actually see all 37.
It's possible he takes the start, but he did not set a qualifying time, and that's where I was assuming from. But wow, really great showing here for Le Mans, and it's gonna be a lot of fun to broadcast it. So I'm excited.
Yeah, and just a heads up before just as a reminder that with this track, because of how long it is, the drivers are playing with 80% fuel instead of 50%. So instead of the normal half-hour mark where we'd see them pitting, we'll be looking more for the 50-minute mark, something like that. Drivers may be able to do one pit, depending on it's obviously a high fuel usage track, but if you're in the draft, you can save a lot. That may be the name of the game, is trying to do a 100-minute race with just one pit.
That might be the way to go. I mean, if anybody's going to try it, I'm not sure. I don't think he's here tonight, but that would be Steven Thompson would be the guy to try to do the one pit.
Yeah, he's not here for this race, but he certainly would have been my vote for that as well. But, I mean, everyone's going to be trying to do it. I think everyone knows that that's about what we're looking at. But it may be just enough fuel that no one really has to try too hard with saving to do it. But that'll unfold in an hour.
Yes, it will. Now, it's back to some colder weather as compared to what we had at Mid-Ohio. 67 degrees outside and a 73-degree track temp. So
that really helps. They're in these curves that they're in right now.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We saw, what was it, a 353, a 352 in qualifying from our pole sitter, Terry Cowger Jr. Now, last time that we came out here, I believe it was Nick Paletti that sat on pole for the GT3 class, and he set a 356.1.
I think we were using high downforce. I can't remember exactly, but I think we were using high downforce last season.
All right. Well, I feel like I remember doing medium at one point, but if we used high downforce, that would make more sense, obviously, because you lose more time. The lap record for this track, obviously, high downforce, 356.1 set by
there we go.
Mr. Claybaugh. Terry Cowger Jr.
I think.
Terry Cowger Jr. is going to lead him off. Remember, we do have the no passing rule. I believe that extends to turn 2 of the Dunlop curves here. But then they can race each other.
All behaved behind. Already there's been a huge stretch in the field behind that first peloton of 10 cars. You look behind, the drivers are already getting spread out, but this straight will certainly bunch them up again.
It sure will. Now look, we've got big groups of 2 or 3 cars. Not really as tight as you'd expect for lap 1, especially only 6 or 7 corners in.
No one that I see looking to have gotten a slowdown, at least up at the front. Christopher Craig. Oh, someone that is Dan Real, pole sitter. Huge slowdown. He's on the right side, so Christopher Craig is now taking over the lead for GTD Am.
Yeah, there's Christopher Craig right there with Tyler Langenberg trying to pull out and pass him into this first chicane, but can't get it done. He's going to tuck right back
Real's
in.
He's still trying to bleed it off.
That's going to hurt.
Wow, down to 4th already from one penalty. Like I said, it's a killer to get it there.
And that's definitely not what you want on lap 1, because you can lose all that time and lose those places really easily and have to fight to get them back later in the race. But look just how single file they can be unless they're side by side, like Patrick Ripley is right now with, believe that is Aaron Claybaugh. No, yeah. Michael De La Salle.
Michael De La Salle is behind, yeah. But they got sorted out going to the chicane. You can definitely battle going into those 2 chicanes. It's really great. Should see some good racing. I mean, we're seeing it right now. Look, there's the 2 Ford GTs. Nary McAllister. Nary taking the advantage on that one.
Now, something that...
McAllister must have a slowdown.
One thing that I am sad to see is the lack of the factory livery for those Ford GTs there. But they did switch it up so we wouldn't confuse them. So...
The Golf is great.
I do like the Golf livery, as well as I like that.
Ooh, that's close.
That beautiful Liqui BMW on Richard Curry's car.
That's Jeff McDonald there going on the outside of Steve Kube. Not in the same class, but Marcus Osborne, or sorry, Richard Curry in front, all very close, and Marcus Osborne behind, coming out of that Arnage hairpin. Look at that. They're going to be going side by side in Indianapolis unless they get this order sorted out.
Yeah, there they go. Looks
Osborne
like
wants by to get to Kube.
Curry's going to be all right, though. He'll hold Mr. Kube off rather nicely, although they are in different classes.
I've seen a real lack of incidents so far, which is great. No big spins, no big wrecks, at least that I've noticed.
No, I haven't seen anything major yet. Just a lot of side-by-side is really the only thing to speak of for this first lap.
Those top three up front certainly have gotten a little bit of a gap from, Paul Skip. He lost one position from third to fourth. Bill Borland getting in front. Borland very close coming into the Ford chicane here. You can't really pass into that section, so can't do anything to attack Ryan Tyler there. But certainly all of these drivers look to have a lot of pace right now.
They sure do. I mean, Sasha Kempta, hold that thought. I know we talked about this section earlier.
Porsche into and this is the one where I was like, the wall's just right there. What are you gonna do? And he gets his car stuck in it too.
Yeah, he's stuck. He cannot go anywhere. He jumped in the pits.
That's a shame. It's a bummer to have the collision, but then there's no reason that the car should have stuck into the wall.
No, there isn't. That's just iRacing being iRacing. Unfortunately,
Clayball letting Vihil by there. It looked like.
Very possible.
Certainly lifted to get in line. They are in the same class, so don't know if Clayball had a slowdown but trying to look, and again, every single time the drivers go through Tertre Rouge there, like keep an eye out for who's driving slow down the straight, because it's really easy to pick it up there. But Tyler Langenberg, Nick Paletti, look at that.
Really close now. I think Nick Paletti is going to easily keep it in front through the chicane, but
no,
Langenberg
way later on the brakes.
Wow.
Paletti's just driving it safe, but actually, we see all the people in the Porsche putting in the fastest lap times, but Langenberg had the advantage on that top speed when he pulled out.
Yeah, Langenberg, it looked like Paletti was way ahead. When
look at Ripley and Clayball. Now Paletti's teammate is under attack here.
Let's take a look. That is
long way to the chicane. It's Ripley and Clayball.
Is that not a Chick-fil-A car?
It is. It's just a little less obvious. But yeah, so both guys losing a spot into successive chicanes there.
I thought we went off brand for a second with Clayball, but it's all right. I was more
Kube all over Curry.
I was far more baffled by the Chick-fil-A presence than I was the racing.
Ryan Tyler, he must have had a slowdown because he's back there now. He must have had a slowdown I didn't catch, because he's now with right behind Steve Kube. Wow, that was a big slowdown if he got it.
John Kelly is weaving all over the place. That's behind Zach Nürnberger in the VB Longneck car. But
yeah, I just couldn't find a way through. Nürnberger taking a very middle of the road line to make Kelly do something that he doesn't want to do as far as optimal line, but that's not the end of it for sure.
Yeah, it works.
McAllister was about to make a move there. Kube makes a move on Curry.
I love Kube's paint job.
Curry should probably back. Yeah, again, they're not fighting for class. Just keep it going. Curry running in 6th right now for class.
Now look at how tight this is back here. That is Gareth McAllister and the FAF.
Will Borland with a slowdown. Will Borland losing lots of positions. It's going to happen to a lot of guys. So our new top 3 is Cowger, Skip, Langenberg.
Yeah, that'll get you. But I think everybody will have their fair share of slowdowns over the night, so it won't be devastating.
That's especially bad early on. Oh, Skip. Did something happen? Oh no, he just went off on that. But there was an incident back there from somebody. I saw smoke.
Oh, that's an incident. That's Kube and Looks like Tyler.
Ryan Tyler. Yeah, that looks like his.
That's Paul Boyle going
yes,
past
that
him.
is.
Let's
Yes,
see if
that
we
was
can get
Ryan
a
Tyler.
better look at it here. We kind of cut to it just at the right
Kube
time.
loses it in Porsche, and then Tyler just nothing he can do. It is nothing, no mistake. You know, nothing that Kube did to cause that. Nothing Tyler could have done to avoid it. That's just one of those racing things.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we talked about before the race.
Curry somehow, Curry got by inches on that.
Just how tight that could be, though. Yeah, Curry was really, really lucky to make it through that. That is Roger Schenk and Zach Nurnberger going into the Dunlop chicane. Looks like Schenk's going to be on top easily. Nice move by him.
Oh, De La Sala collision.
This is
spin by Borland in front. Yep. Borland loses it in the Tertre Rouge S here. It just goes. He tries to catch it, tank slapper. Somehow Brad McCombs sneaks by on the left, but De La Sala gives him a little tap.
Just a little love tap, and it helps him get spun back around, so there's not a huge traffic jam there. No real loser there. Everybody made it out relatively all right.
Well, De La Sala was about a second off of Craig when that happened. Now he's 5 seconds.
Look at John Kelly back there, and Zach Nuremberger on Roger Schenk. Both going to back out. All right, go ahead.
Well, yeah, De La Sala lost a position and like 4 seconds to GTDM leader Christopher Craig through that incident. So that puts Newbie up to second for AM now.
Well, I suppose maybe.
Brad McCombs saying that he has damage. Yeah, wow, a lot of damage on the front. I don't know if we caught which collision that's. Steven Shepard just trying to not run into somebody there. Well done to bail out of that.
That may be Zach Nuremberger going up the inside on Roger Schenk. Oh, and there's contact. Let's take a look at that. Here they go. Oh. And backwards he goes into the wall. Not on the brakes.
Yeah, I mean, there's really nowhere that Nuremberger could have gone. He was on the curb, so he couldn't do anything to get out of the way there. A little bit of net code involved there as well, but luckily no major damage.
Very luckily. Now that's Adrian Garcia Vahil on Patrick Ripley. This is for P5, but Adrian just cannot hold it in there, unfortunately.
Yeah, Indianapolis, you can't be going side, but someone's got to. It's a game of chicken, but you certainly can't both go through. So, yeah, Brad McCombs losing spots again. He's got damage, so that's why he's been falling back a little bit.
Yep, he may have picked that up net code with the incident there right behind.
Yeah, that is possible.
Who was it? Nick Paletti had an incident. What happened to him?
I saw someone falling off. I couldn't figure out exactly who it was.
He is on his own. Looks like it's just going to be a loss of the rear on that curve.
That's Arnage. Just loses some time. Like I said, it's easy to that turn can catch you off guard a little bit. It's tighter than you expect. What?
That is Will Borland there.
That was a.
Let's see if we can
that was a frustrated quit. That was what that was.
No, that's losing the rear end ever so slightly.
Well, no, I'm saying he quit the session.
Oh, he did, eh?
Yeah.
Take a look. He'll just correct. Oh, he'll just slightly correct it, and then
a lot of dirty air from the front.
Back into the wall.
That's a tough section to be trying to follow somebody through. I mean, you can't be giving guys in front of you room, but you especially at the top of that hill, the car starts to get a little light, and we've seen that Porsche be pretty difficult to drive through this whole season at certain points, despite having some pace. So that may have been a cause.
Yeah, it is not for the faint of heart. That Porsche is not I'm not sure what the grammar there is, but there's a lot of them tonight, which is really, really interesting. We don't generally see them that much.
Especially in the AM class, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, Jeff McDonald.
Yep, I see the top dropping down there.
Right out of the Dunlop chicane in his green Porsche.
Almost was able to keep it going completely straight, but yeah, well done to not get any damage at least. That's a corner that it's so banked on the inside that you want to send it in like that. But if you find your car on the outside, you will spin doing that. Joshua Kelly there making a move.
Does Paul Boyle have a slowdown? Because he's lost a place to Zach Nurnberger, and John Kelly also got past him. So either he was really bleeding off a slowdown, or he just got a terrible exit. Can't tell which.
I would imagine it's the first. Brad McCombs did pit for damage, so he pit, car's fixed, but that is for sure going to be a 2-stopper for him.
Yes, he is way out of the pit window.
Right now we're looking at Calgary with a very healthy lead, and then Skip and Langenberg really set apart as the podium sitters for GTD Pro right now, quite ahead of Patrick Ripley there sitting in 4th. And then Christopher Craig for GTD-AM has a good lead, 5 seconds to newbie behind, and then again De La Salle there in 3rd. Another one where the top 3 has, kind of set themselves in their own little group from the rest of the class.
Yeah, this is the biggest group on
Glover
track right now. This is Ryan Glover, Donovan Johnston, James Foreman, Zach Nurnberger, Paul Boyle, and John Kelly. In this.
Yeah, but who's not there,
I know, right?
Nary's right behind. He's caught up as well. And then Gareth McAllister and the other Ford is right behind Nary.
Both Fords. It's interesting, though, the way that the Fords, they almost look, the Gulf livery is a little wider than the...
Well, there's some damage on one of them, so...
Oh, that'll do it. They look
but
different for
the
sure.
heel has made his way past Patrick Ripley up at the front, so now has taken his way into 4th. Ripley just going a little bit wide into Indianapolis, losing the spot through that.
That's what happened right there.
Just had to keep it out of the sand.
A good job by Patrick to keep it out of the sand. So.
Yeah, I mean, Christopher Craig's got to be happy. He goes from nearly starting 36th to putting in a twilight lap, putting him in 2nd, and then inherits 1st early in the race. So his fates swapped, or swung the other way quite quickly.
Yeah, really good qualifying from
Johnson on the inside there.
Yeah, really good qualifying and race from Christopher. Ooh, a little.
Ooh, that was someone got into something.
Yeah, kicking up a little bit of dirt there. Always gets a little sketchy. Now, speaking of sketchy, let's see what happened for Steven Shepard.
Well, sketchy's right now in Corvette. Johnston, Foreman, Nurnberger, Boyle. Oh, that's what that was. Okay, yeah. Luckily, he didn't get. Oh,
Steven Shepard taking out. Dave Ferrara followed him. Unfortunately.
Yeah, he saw, shouldn't have gone to the right. But, Foreman loses it in the final chicane.
That's
multiple
collisions. Problems. Here they
Nary,
go.
Johnston, Glover. But where they split, look how close they all are. And then he just hits the curb really hard.
Too much curb. And it looks like Gareth McAllister made it out of there without hitting anybody in that goal forward there.
Did have to stop. But I don't think anyone's too hurt from it. But, so that's the kind of traffic jam you can get when these cars are able to stay so close through the straights.
For sure, just a little crunched bumper, which not optimal though. Christopher Newby out in 2nd place is being hurried by Don McCloy, and we've also seen Mr. Paletti and Mr. Claybaugh ahead of them in their Chick-fil-A Porsches.
Yeah, Paletti, Claybaugh, Boyle all in the top 10 currently. But we have some, quite a bit of racing left to go. Just past 17 minutes. in a 100-minute race. I mean, people's fortunes can certainly change, but you want to be on the right foot at this point.
Yes, you do. Steven Shepard jumped to the pits.
Yeah, he had that spin with the collision, so.
Yes, after Dave Ferrara unfortunately plowed into his side. But it took him a long time to jump to the pits, though. That's like 2 minutes. This is Daniel Barnett. His car is already messed up going into it.
Yeah, don't even try the chicane, man. Just go through. Just drive through.
Yeah.
Well, Johnston goes deep in the second chicane. Might be a slowdown there. He kind of cut it.
That's not what you want to see from Dan Barnett. Patrick Ripley is right on the back, though, of Adrian Garcia Vahil.
Yeah, I mean, really, if there's anything about this track, it's just hard to get away from somebody. There's just so many opportunities with the 5 straights that we mentioned during the run through. They just catch back up. So
that's for sure.
He was able to hound Ripley for a number of laps, and now Ripley's not going to let him get away.
Yeah, I mean, Ripley really, really good at driving consistent laps most of the time. Like we saw at Daytona, him and Ryan Tyler were right out front, right on top of it. But hold on. Daniel Barnett and Christopher Craig.
Well, Barnett surely would have come into the pits.
There's Barnett going through the runoff there. I think he had a little spin. But Christopher Craig, who didn't get a qualifying time in forever.
Oversteer here, maybe?
Ooh.
Yep.
A little.
Wow, he actually got into the...
That was the curb, I think.
Really saved that, though.
Great save, but that's going to cost him some time. Now
He's only got a half-second gap now, the newbie.
Yeah, the gap's only a half second, which is not really what you want if you were leading by about 3.
He's got a car between them, so.
Car between won't mean much when Don McCloy gets past in the coming laps because he is right on back of him. Andrew Neri, here we go.
Oh, there
we go.
Porsche, a little bit of damage on that right rear.
The 2 Ford GTs
car
going
just
through.
Let's go.
But
just let's go.
Now there's only
one. Oh, and Jeff McDonald involved in that.
Here's what happened
and
to him.
He almost lost it again because it must be damage, of course. No shame in that, Car was already beat up.
Andrew Neri again.
Also, that's just a couple turns later.
And
that car's toast.
Insult to injury. Andrew Neri one more time.
Trying to drive slow, but still not even. Wow. Going into Corvette.
Perseverance, however.
Hasn't towed, I don't think. So
not towing. Honestly, he's so close. It doesn't make sense to tow if he can make it. Now it's pretty much straight.
Which, by the way, I had failed to mention the pit entry here is it's really slow. There's an actual chicane in the pit entry because you just come straight off the previous turn, and it's kind of easy to actually mess it up. It's not, you don't take that turn every lap, so it's not like you practice the braking point over and over again. It's a place where, especially with only one pit, it can make a big difference if drivers are able to take that quicker than their opponents.
Yeah, it definitely is. I know we saw in Season 3, I think it was, of E4A, a lot, maybe Season 4, a lot of problems in that pit lane, specifically blowing through it. And I know Terry Geiger Jr., hoping not to recreate it tonight, had some trouble getting into his pit box.
Yeah, he's had a lot of weird issues at this track. It's kind of been haunted for him, but he's certainly doing well today so far.
And those races, the race at least that I just described, was at night. So this race is supposed to end at night. We failed to mention that as well. It starts in the day and it finishes in the dark. So we may have to see a pit stop or two under those lights.
Well, it's currently 4:46 in sim time, and it's 4 times speed. So with over an hour to go, it'll start to get... I don't think it will be dark, but it'll start to get there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just reading the schedule. It says night, so night is subjective, I guess. But it will be darker, and that may throw off some people's pit entry.
Yeah, I mean it's a really tough pit entry when you don't have that. So, one to keep an eye on. I'll be honest. I'm looking here at the incident list. That I know some of this has been on. De La Sala, I think there.
Yep,
in the
that's
background.
De La Sala.
Awesome position of Keith Roycroft there. Roycroft up in the top. A lot of drivers with incidents, actually. Some people have been involved in unavoidable collisions.
That's a lot of speed for Mark Dillon Jr.
Oh, that's a big one.
That's gonna cause some steering issues. I would expect.
The compression there in Indianapolis is useful, but he got a little bit too into it, too far to the right, hit the curb, and like I said, it's a very tough turn. There's no saving it after that.
Yeah, he turned in just a little bit too early. You saw that right tire went over the curb, and that's when you know you're in trouble.
Yeah, again, no surprise to see a lot of these drivers still so close to each other. Hard to stay away. Mark Dillon Jr. dropping. I don't know if he's coming to the pits yet, but obviously he's got to meet. Oh, he's off in that Corvette. That was a nice little drift.
Ryan Glover, though, who is in the tens place, I think.
Yeah, weird at camera angle there, but I think it just looked like he lost it coming even onto the entry and then tried to save it, and then a lot of tank slappers today.
Yep, and this is what you're talking about with Mark Dillon Jr.
It's cool. Look at that.
In France drift. Le drift.
Start drift. Yeah, he's coming into the pits for that repair. I mean, he's not gonna be the only one who's coming out of schedule for sure. We've seen a lot of big crashes so far.
Say maybe Adrian Garcia Vahil is out of schedule now.
Got into the grass there. And yeah, Glover has a meatball. He's making it. Man, Glover's he's this is I've almost never seen a car drive worse than I'm seeing his car right now. This is shocking. Like, props to him, because that's a lot of perseverance to get this into the pits, which he now has.
Dylan made it to the pits as well. I was going to mention something. I think it was these two right here, Claybaugh and Paletti.
Claybaugh and Paletti have been close.
Now, they are both members of Team Doge Squad Racing. And my segue there, my thought process was to bridge that to next season, where we will start to track the team's championship. So if anybody has a team that they want to enter and try to win the team's championship, next season is the debut of that system. So come and join us and come race. We'd love to have you.
I'm excited to see some teams start as well. That'd be fun. Some guys that are friends with each other, and they practice together or whatever. Just some new teams of three guys, or whatever. It'll be good to have more of that during the competition. Just add some more layers to each race.
Yeah, I should clarify. 3 separate cars, not 3 drivers per car. Not teams and like endurance teams. It's
good point.
Similar to F1 teams.
Yeah.
But we will be introducing that next season. It's a shorter season, more condensed, and I think we'll have an interesting schedule for what we have compared to what we've seen previously.
Yeah, I mean, we got some stuff like Le Mans Historic, so it's this track, but with none of those chicanes on the back straight. It's just like the longest straight you could imagine, and it's just going to be pure speed down that. Probably going to be running like a lowdown for us even for that. Doing the Monza combined, doing the oval on that. So yeah, it'll be a good one.
I think we should just do endurance for amateurs, NASCAR or American style. Throw everybody in the trucks that we used to run for N4A, and then make everybody drive in circles for like 3 hours.
I'll do it.
Of course you will. I know Zach Nurnberger will be a fan of that as well. You know who would be a fan? And if we did run that and he didn't show up, I might just quit Pony Express completely. Tyler Tyler Watts. He's mentioned doing an endurance race in a NASCAR so many times, and every single time, everybody on our team has said, no. Why do you want to do that?
I just wanted to draw attention. We have Christopher Craig, who was running a little bit over a second back from newbie. Must have made some sort of
Before
minor
you
mistake.
say the rest, this is Adrian Garcia.
Porsche curve, claiming another one. No, actually, it's the one after that Corvette. Sorry. So just try not to go too wide, but too much crank on the steering wheel. But
Another pause. Hold on.
Kingsbury. Oh, he was just going too
Ooh.
fast the whole time.
That's
Yeah.
a lot of curb. All right. So peace for a
Newbie.
second.
Wait. Now newbies. Oh. I was looking at two Chris's. Christopher Newby is now the leader. Christopher Craig must have made a mistake, and he's now 3.5 seconds behind Newby, just a second ahead of Keith Roycroft.
All right, so it shakes up just like that. Keith Roycroft, he's lurking in the background. He's had so many chances to win it this season and just hasn't got it yet. So hopefully, we can see that tonight.
Trying to go back and see what happened, where he lost that spot. Christopher Craig. Oh, yep, it was a slowdown after Tertre Rouge, so
That'll do it.
he ended up losing like 7 seconds, 8 seconds from that.
Yeah, those slowdowns, even though they're only, 3 seconds, 2 seconds,
Yeah, it's incorrectly labeled for sure.
it'll lose you a lot of time. The way that it calculates the slowdown.
So that's the explanation there. Luckily, he stays ahead of Roycroft and stays in the top 2, but losing the lead from that, still only a 3.5 second gap. Long race. He certainly has the race pace to catch back up to Newbie and give it a fight for first.
Yeah, I think he's got a good chance. Keith Roycroft, I'm going to go back to him. He has 3 poles this season. Christopher Craig, I think that was his first pole. Or no, he took second, never mind. But Christopher Newby, who has 4 wins this season, he's only been on pole once. While Keith Roycroft has not won this season, and I don't think he's even been on the podium this season.
He has
And
not.
he has the most poles out of anybody in GTD. So interesting.
During this lap, McCloy got around Paletti, but Paletti's trying to get him back here. Can't quite get to him going into Indianapolis. That is Roycroft, De La Sala. De La Sala taken third from Keith Roycroft.
Nice move by him. Keith Roycroft's going to
Wow.
get pushed way wide because of the line he took, and Marcus Osborne might be able to get past and put a buffer between the two. He's
But
going
yeah,
for it. There it is.
Yep. Between classes there. But yeah, no. Don McCloy able to pass Nick Paletti, and both of them kind of pull away from Aaron Claybaugh a little bit, who is now 2 seconds. He was a little bit closer in the previous lap, but a really close grouping of those 3 on the track right now for what is that? 5th, 6th, 7th.
Yes. I believe so. And Marcus Osborne is also thrown in there. Wait. That would be overall, maybe. Michael De La Sala, Christopher Craig, and Christopher Newby run 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, Osborne's he's completely mired in a bunch of GTD Am drivers right now, just surrounded by him, and just trying to do his best to put in fast laps without getting hampered.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to do sometimes. In a normal race now, actually Le Mans, you'd probably see pit stops a little earlier, but we'd be at our first pit stop around now. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you see it, the drivers will go about 50 minutes, 45, maybe even longer, before
Yeah,
their
see,
first
that's the
pit
thing
stop.
is 45 is not enough. 50 is just enough. Like, it's going to be, close on that. And Okay, so we have James Foreman going into the pits now. Does he have damage? He does not, I don't think. So if he does, it's very minor. This may be...
Yeah. Looks like front right.
Yeah, it's not... I wouldn't think it's so bad you'd have to pit. Well, okay, never mind. I had a screen in the way there. All right, I get it. Yeah, there are multiple things fixed there. I just wondered if maybe he was already committing to two-stop, but I mean, I think anyone will want to try to get to that. And it's something to keep in mind, too. If any of these drivers are maybe, seem like they're a little bit off the pace or something like that, it could be, they're doing it on purpose because they think they can make it on the one stop and that everyone else can't.
Yeah, so a little fuel saving coming into play, maybe. I know I like to talk about that a lot in various races.
We do still have 4 drivers with 0 incidents. That's Terry Kiger Jr., Paul Boyle, Tyler Langenberg. Oh, okay. Well, I was literally about to say Dan Real. He had 0 until right now. And then
There he goes.
So I'm sorry, Daniel. I was about to read you on that list, but that's some bad damage. That's
Zach, I think you need to just hang up the microphone at this point. The amount of times that you have cursed a driver in these races.
It's real. He had 0 for 34 minutes, and then right when I said it.
You are the curse.
But at least like currently, you're not looking at any drivers that are like on pace for like a for sure penalty. It's just that a lot of drivers have picked up 4x from a collision already.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see a slowdown, but we can
through
for sure see somebody lose their bonus points.
It's McCombs and Johnston, not 4 class. And that is Foreman with also
Kempter.
not for class. Yeah. Okay. So two drivers, two pairs of drivers close to each other, not fighting for position.
There we
but
go.
we certainly.
Oh.
De La Sala,
That is
huge damage.
De La
I think.
Sala's
Yeah.
car almost unrecognizable.
I can only notice that chrome. Wow, that came out of nowhere.
Wow. That's graphic if you are a car lover. Wow.
Yeah, I don't. That just caught. That was really weird. I think it was a similar thing that as Mark Dillon Jr., where it was a little bit too far on the inside, but it's just weird how violent that turned.
Just take a look at how the car dips when he comes back on track. I don't know.
That's rough.
That's interesting. I don't know if that's part of the simulation or there's just a bump in the road there.
He's still driving it back.
Yeah, I think he can make it. It's not too bad. Anything really is faster than a tow.
I mean, there's if you look at him and there's nothing on the front. He is creeping back. That is rough too. He was in 3rd place at that point behind the 2 Chris's. Ooh, almost a collision with Gareth McAllister there.
Easy to get a little too excited behind cars and end up in a bad spot.
Yeah, and again, dirty air. Oh man, he is. My Brad McCombs almost nailed him there. Oh man, that was close.
Patrick Ripley having a moment there. Wow, that's
He
a
really got in the
save.
grass.
Nice
good
save.
He was really deep into the grass. That was weird. But Keith Roycroft has also lost a position. All right, well, there we go.
Back.
Yeah, Curry. I was about to say how he had made his way to 3rd, but he must have had a slowdown or something because he had a slowdown. I think he may have cut the Dunlop chicane. Trying to figure out what he's. Yeah, he cut the Dunlop chicane, so that's why he let Roycroft go by.
We're just gonna cut back to De La Sala and take.
I'm telling that. I think the engine's out. I think that he's coasting.
Oh, for sure. And he's just trying to minimize that tow distance as long as he can.
Heel.
But it's kind of funny to watch that car just lead its way right back to the pits.
Well, you're the one who said he would easily get it back to the pits, so that one's not on me.
I meant in terms of
Oh, luckily not hitting the wall. That was scary. That looked like it was more speed than it was.
in terms of not spinning multiple times, as we've seen earlier in this race. But
Yeah, that was a uncharacteristic mistake, and in a spot on the track where, unless you're battling, you normally see a lot of mistakes. But I mean, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I mean, we've seen the Porsche at tracks before, and at this during this race already so far. That while it clearly has the pace, sometimes it just goes. It just randomly goes. It doesn't seem like anything caused it or any sort of driver error. It just loses grip.
yeah, that's what the Porsche does sometimes. I know in the preseason race we saw that with Brad McCombs, or not Brad,
Paul Skip.
Paul Skip. Apologies. Just out of nowhere, it doesn't look like driver error. It's just the balance of the car.
Yeah, it looks like an open wheeler, the way that sometimes it just snaps.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to tame, but if you can, obviously it's working for the top two, Terry Calgary Jr. and Paul Skip, out in front.
Speaking of top two, Christopher Craig, also right on the back of Christopher Newby now, has caught up like we had kind of thought might happen.
There they are. 8/10 separate the two.
And Roycroft and Curry really fighting for that third place position currently.
There they are in the background now. A little further back, but still there. Either way.
And
Calgary into the pits.
Okay, so that is okay. All right, that's Skip into the pits as well.
Are they out of gas, or is that just pitting early and everybody's trying to follow him?
Well, we're 40 minutes in, so that's only 66% of the way through. And again, usually you can go like an hour on a tank. It'd be less for here. But I would have thought they would have been with 80% fuel. I don't know. I guess I was wrong, because I'm hearing other drivers say that they're pitting in here.
Yeah, there goes Newby and Craig. So
confirmed to pit.
Yeah, I guess they're out of fuel. So that's definitely going to mean it's a two-stop for everybody.
Ripley able to go another, but he's not going to go long enough to do it in one stop, but he is able to take it a lap further than most everyone else.
Yeah, he did sit in the draft for a while there, so... Well, I suppose we'll find out the strategy when the last pit stops happen, really. Terry Calgary Jr. just leaving now.
No mistakes on that one.
Gap between Paul Skip and Terry Calgary Jr. was
it's gone down
about 7 seconds before. Now it's about 6.
Oh, it's right. It hit. Never mind. It's figuring it out because of the people exiting the pits. It's about the same, and about the same gap to Langenberg. So no major mistakes by any of those guys.
So pretty similar. All right.
Interesting there, though. Again, Brad McCombs has already made it pit, and he now has moved his way up to, what was that, 5th?
Looks like P5, yeah.
So, luckily, he was in the pit window because it's a 2-pit race, and his race is completely, back on track.
And this is Kube and Foreman, not for class, but Kube's livery is just, I really like it.
Oh yeah, it's great.
And they are the closest people on track, so we're going to watch them for a little bit.
Yeah, certainly try not to lose too much time to each other. It's so hard in these chicanes. You want to follow close, but they slow down so much. You can't stay as close as you've been during like all the straights and stuff like that.
Now let's see who the most efficient person was in the pits. I guess we'll see it when they come around again and it updates. But we can take a look at how long each person spent in the pit lane and how long they spent in the pit box. So it'll be interesting to see who is the most efficient in and out.
I'm trying to see if anyone took it another lap other than Ripley. I don't think even any of the GTD drivers or any of the other GTD Pro drivers were able to do that. But he's currently running going into Indianapolis right now. Mick Kelly likes switching back and forth on the straight. That's for sure.
Yeah, might have to send out a few black and white flags for him.
And some of it is you're just trying to spook the guy in front.
Yeah. No, we don't do those. We let them race. It's real racing here in E4A.
You're allowed to do that in F1 if you're the guy behind.
Yeah, not in front though.
So
Anyways,
side by side, Johnson and Shank.
yeah, 2 Lambos. There they go. Roger Shank staying ahead,
A Lambo and a Lando.
I suppose.
Watching Ripley here, he's coming through Porsche. It doesn't really look like he's having to do a bunch of lifting or anything. So I think that he. Yeah, I'm trying to see if he made a mistake going an extra lap. I'm trying to listen to his throttle input and see if he's about to run out or if the engine's about to. There's definitely a little bit of hesitancy for sure on the throttle. He's coming into the pits now.
You're one of those fancy people. Listening to all the telemetry. I feel like Paul Boyle would appreciate that.
Not to expose Patrick's secrets, I guess, but into the pits. We'll see where he shakes out. Tap between Osborne and was it Clayball?
Yes.
Yes.
Paletti.
Oh, Paletti. Yes, Paletti. Nothing too bad. The drivers got out okay.
Now, if you just want to let the viewers and the drivers know where they all stand in terms of position after the pits.
Yeah, I was. I'm interested to see here where Ripley comes out. Obviously not coming out first. Terry Kiger Jr. Already through, but he was running in a competitive position, and just interested to see if he gained or lost any. I think he was in the like eight range. I think. Oh wow!
There goes Johnston into the wall.
Indianapolis, yeah, dangerous part of the track.
That car does not want to move. That's going to be a tow. Let's take another look at what happened to him there. Side by side with Roger Shank. And he gets ahead, but he turns in just a little bit too aggressively. And
Yep.
That's it. Daniel Hingley, very quick tow from when he goes off track. So let's see what happened. Same thing as Donovan Johnston. But not into the wall as bad. Just, he's done.
So now with all the drivers having got their pit stop in for GT Pro, we're looking at top 3 of Terry Kiger Jr., followed by Paul Skip 7 seconds back, and Tyler Lingenberg 6/10 back from Skip. And for GTDM, looking at Christopher Newby leading with a 2-second gap back to Christopher Craig and a 9-second gap back from Craig to Richard Curry.
Looks bad for Marcus Osborne. What has happened to him?
He was totally backwards.
Now, this is the beginning of the lap almost.
Grass. Can't get in the grass. Can't do it.
Too much grass. Now, Marcus, when we told you to touch grass last season, we didn't mean that grass. We appreciate you trying.
It doesn't look good damage-wise. I thought it might have been worse, but he'll be wanting to get in as soon as he possibly can. We're still not even halfway, so certainly can't be doing it now unless it's really that bad.
Well, I didn't really see the car. It was kind of in an awkward position, but it didn't look too beat up, did it?
Well, I mean, the front right wheel is not totally the right direction, that's for sure. So it's just a game of weighing how much it's worth.
It might lose you a lot of time in the straights, though. Let's take a look at their speeds right now, and maybe we can decipher that a little better.
Oh, Lingenberg really close to Skip. Going in through Indianapolis, he was like only a tenth behind Paul Skip. Very close to each other. Yeah, that's it's not great, but it's definitely affecting him. Drivers are going around him. It may be one where you got to come in, or you're just going to lose too much.
That's the top speed of the lap. I think that'll update when they go around again. But what I did mention earlier was the pit strategy. We can see how long each person took in the pit lane as a whole, or in the pit box. Let's see. Everybody pretty even, but looks like Paul Skip and Tyler Langenberg get the best of Terry Calger Jr.
Close stop for Christopher Craig as well. That was a 1.2 seconds slower than Newbie in front.
Yeah, and then we can take a look at including the pit entry and exit. Calger still comes
That's
out
a lot
on top
closer.
of Langenberg, but Skip beats him overall. And then Newbie
Look
and
at
Craig.
Paletti, 70 flat.
Yeah, that's nice. But Newbie and Craig as well.
Langenberg, Dunlop going down the inside of Skip, but now he's going to be on the outside of the chicane. These two are fighting. Paul Skip Langenberg almost loses it. Oh, that was close. That was a really good save. The car just kind of started to just step out on him a little bit coming into the braking zone, but well done to make that pass.
Yeah, almost a...
He got the grass there.
Also, the checkered flag should be at 9 p.m. Eastern in the sim. So we may see it be a little darker.
9 p.m. Eastern? It's in France.
Well, we can... I don't know why Mark said Eastern, but checkers is 9 p.m. Eastern in the YouTube chat, he says. So... that means, like, what? 3 a.m. Le Mans?
Yeah, we'll have one of the Europeans figure that out.
Paul Boyle, hello. He's even behind, I think. Anyways.
Yeah, again, we're seeing here the example of what I mentioned before. Langenberg was able to catch up and pass Skip, but Skip, even after that chicane there, again, you see that gap there. It keeps coming back down because there's such a long opportunity to get a draft. And with the medium downforce, it's more effective.
Yeah, the lower the downforce, the better the draft is going to be. Unfortunately for Daniel Real, he did not have enough downforce to keep the car planted through those corners.
That was certainly a better result than almost everyone else's crash there.
It was, but it's still not what you want to see, especially if you are in 9th.
Well, yeah, and a driver started on pole as well.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah, he did take pole.
Yeah, had that early slowdown that gave Christopher Craig the lead. But Craig there, 1.5 seconds back from Newbie. Has been closer before, but certainly hasn't just let him get away.
No, he has not. That'll come down to the end, really. One of them might fuel save or do something. Patrick Ripley, did he really gain anything by going that extra lap?
I mean, probably not. Probably not, but we'll see. We gotta wait longer. Which the aforementioned Ripley is right there behind Christopher Craig. Looks like he has a slowdown though, doesn't he? He really let off there.
Let's take a look
I'll figure out more of
real
that.
quick though at Donovan Johnston, and then we'll take a look at Daniel Hingley.
Too wide, yeah.
That's Johnston and Daniel Hingley,
Harm done.
who went to the pits after this. Oh, in the wall.
Even in a pretty safe car, yeah.
Sucks when you get stuck in the car.
Yeah, we've had a lot more drivers already retiring than, maybe any race we've had so far this season, which is a little bit of a surprise, I think. But we had Will Borland, Daniel Burnett, Steven Shepard, Mark Dillon Jr., Dustin Dos Weiss, James Kingsbury, Marcus Osborne, and Daniel Hingley all retired for the race.
All right, so ignore the Eastern, he says. Green was 3 p.m. local time. 100 minutes time 4 is 6 hours, so 9 p.m. 6.6 hours, so almost 10 p.m.
Oh, that was definitely a slowdown by Ripley there, and we haven't seen a lot of the cars go through Corvette. That was one where definitely went too wide. Had a rough low lap. Ripley has.
Oh, yeah. He is definitely losing time. Now, Aaron Claybot setting feet. Is he in the pits? Brad McCombs is. That's why.
Oh, maybe he can't make it. That's early. You can't go 48 minutes. No one else is able to. So
Is that going to be a 3-stop for Brad McCombs?
if that's as far as he, I mean, yeah, I mean, no matter what, he now with where he pit, yeah, it has to be.
All right. Well, really unfortunate for him.
The heel very close to Paletti. Yeah, he has been fighting a lot during this race. Feel has, and certainly is gonna, if depending on how he takes Tech Rouge here, have a good chance. That might be a little wide. That was pretty close. I don't know. If he didn't get slowed down, that was he took it to the limit.
He did.
It looks like he's
indeed.
okay. Yeah, he's got way more speed. Huge draft going into that. Nobody even close in front of Paletti to kind of help him get a little bit of one. He's just sitting duck on the straight with one, being it that long.
Yeah, I mean, the straights here, it's really just kind of, well, I guess not as much in these cars, but for sure, the slipstream is kind of just sit behind and wait.
And it should be mentioned too, it's not bad, but Paletti does have some front end damage, and even a minor effect on this track, that's going to really amplify with just how long you're at full throttle going in a straight line.
For sure. It definitely will.
Yeah, the lights turned on, so sun's starting to set. I don't think it'll get real dark, but it'll start to, this track's scary when it's dark. It's run 24 hours, everyone knows that, but it's not very well lit. So like there's a lot of sections, especially Indianapolis has always terrified me, and it always will, and I'll never get over just babying that corner every time I do a night race here.
I think iRacing even warns you when you load up. It says, warning, track does not have night lighting. Race at your own risk or something like that.
Yeah.
It's
like, well, they do it in real life.
Yeah, they do. Risky business.
Look at that gap between Newbie and Craig.
Yeah, oh, it is coming down.
Indianapolis. Oh, man. Behind, Patrick Ripley came really close. Ripley is caught back up to those two. Not fighting for position with the two, but this is first and second place for GTDM.
We'll get right back to them. But that's Donovan Johnston into the wall. All right, back to them before we miss something.
Currently, Ripley closer to Craig than Craig is to Newbie. And eventually Ripley has to make a move to get around. Of course, he's going to respect that these guys, are running their own race, but at some point, if he thinks he's faster, he's got to get through.
Ripley is a very seasoned driver, despite being a Smurf. So,
yeah. Oh, he actually got kind of loose there in that turn. He had to let off the gas and back out of it.
You've given me the curse, but
yeah.
I think Ripley will be very, very kind when it comes down to it.
That the racing line for that Ford chicane is always interesting because you actually have to look like you're about to pull into the pits to get the best angle into it.
Yeah, you do. And just a quick hold on, Dave Farrar. Give us a second here. Here's a very mangled car, and I think it's about to get even worse.
That's Terry there.
Yeah, Terry Carver Jr. is scared of that.
We do have Dan Real, who's also retired from the race now.
But we talked about the dominance of the Porsche here tonight, and I think that might sway the championship a little bit tonight. Now, GTD Pro manufacturer is Porsche that is leading right now, followed by BMW and Mercedes. Porsche, I think they're going to have a nice boost after tonight to further their lead in the championship.
Yeah, I mean, in general too, it's The Porsches come from Terry, and the BMWs come from Tyler Langenberg a lot. Will Borland's used a few different cars this season, but those two guys have repped those cars through the whole season, Terry and Tyler, respectively, and they're first and second in the constructors.
And now for GTD Am, it's almost as close with Ferrari out front than Mercedes and BMW.
Ferrari's not getting anything today, that's for sure.
Yeah, we only have 2 more Ferraris running in this race. So obviously not a great showing for them. Porsche has a chance to jump up out in front of the GTD Am as they're only 4 points behind. But I don't know. We're going to see. It's going to be really shaken up in just a few hours when the points are calculated.
Yep, Christopher Craig has not fallen off of newbie much through this last lap, staying close with, again, Ripley even closer. You know, at a certain point, you know, when you're sitting there as Christopher Craig and, you know, you're worried about at Ripley behind, sometimes you just want to let him by in the way that you can do it, losing the least amount of time and hoping that the guy in front of you loses more time to it. Because Ripley's right on him. He's got to let him by now.
Now he's flashing him, yeah.
Okay, he is letting him by.
But you always want to do it where you can not hold up. Come right back. Sasha Kempter.
You already saw a correction there, yeah.
Yeah, into the wall.
I already saw one correction before that happened. You could tell he was on the edge.
Now we saw Patrick get by Christopher Craig, and he's flashing the lights again, so I'm sure he'll get by Newbie coming up to the next straight.
He gave them their time. He started moving behind. Let him through.
Now Patrick has the best chance of gaining a position on Aaron Claybaugh, but Aaron is very far ahead of him, so he's really got to get a hustle. 3 seconds.
Just 3 seconds. That's not too bad.
Especially
if he's been held up by these two guys, you know, he'll have more pace once he gets around.
Yeah, it's just definitely a gap for sure.
Tyler Langenberg is now 2 seconds ahead of Paul Skip. Again, Skip's not really falling away. He's still there, but he's starting to get to that point where a draft is not really helping a whole bunch. No. He's got to be on it to make sure he doesn't lose even more. Not a high tire wear track, but tire wear still does matter, as it does everywhere. So, you know, the cars are gonna handle differently in regards to that. Christopher Craig with a slowdown in the chicanes. Now he's falling all the way off those two guys. He's bleeding it off well, but yeah. So if we see there that gap, that's because Craig had a slowdown.
We're gonna send some love lower in the order with Andrew Neri and Ryan Tyler. They've both been caught up in accidents over the course of this race, but they are right next to each other on track right now, racing for 13th place.
Yeah, with Jeff McDonald in front of the two.
Yes, Jeff is there, but he is not racing for class.
Jeff McAllister just got around Brad McCombs. Brad McCombs had a slowdown.
Those slowdowns will do you. And if you ever want to tell which one's a Ford, it's the one with the white lights. There goes Ripley past Newbie. Hopefully. Now, I think it's my turn to hang up. The headset because Andrew Neri, who we just talked about, and I just mentioned the Ford lights, is in the wall.
That he just was so close to the guy in front, it like, you know, the dirty air just like stalled his air up. It just started to slide.
It did indeed, and I now have to apologize profusely.
Zachary Nurnberger into the pits, as well as Andrew Neri, aforementioned. Nurnberger's got really bad damage to his rear wing right now, and we know that Neri just was in a wreck. So, but they are in the pit window, I believe, 38 minutes, so they should be fine doing it now.
Yeah, I would say they can just stretch it, and it'll be all right.
We have McAllister there for 10th and 9th, right on Paul Boyle.
Let's see, right there is Paul Boyle up ahead. And we can take a look at Paul Boyle. Back to Mr. McAllister.
That Ford looks like it has some pretty good top-end speed.
Yeah, it does. We saw the closing speed of, who was it? I believe it was Newbie on Patrick Ripley as well. The Porsche on the Audi was pretty big.
We do have Sasha Kempter now retired as well. We got a big list of retirees, and he's going to make that move for ninth place. Nice. I don't know if the track limit there is the curb or the white line. If it's the white line, he went over. But no, yeah, it looks like he's okay. So that the curb must be the track limit there.
Now, is Zach Nurnberger out of the race, or is he just? Oh no, he's just in the pits. Never mind.
Yeah, he had damage, but he is not. He. I don't know what happened. He stopped at the end of the pit lane and then towed.
Maybe ran out of gas. Did he go for
He's now retired.
All right. Well, I guess he just gave up.
I don't know.
So I've got the curse now. I say, is Zach out of the race? No, he just pit. Oh, now he's out of the race.
It has not been a kind race to these drivers. It's been a rough one. I mean, we saw a lot of accidents at VIR, but I don't think we saw so many retirements. Just a little bit over, we're 64 minutes in out of 100. It's not that far past the halfway point. We got like 12 people who've already, crashed out of the race.
By my count, we are down to 11 retirees now.
That was a good guess.
So we're definitely losing people like flies.
Yeah, we still have the top 25 overall on the same lap. Again, takes a really long time to lap somebody here without having a crash or something like that. So no one is too far back. And Terry's not even had to get around to the point that he's lapping anybody, except for some people who have just had like we saw a crash right in front of him. But that certainly makes it easier on the faster classes when they don't have to worry about getting around people as much.
It sure does. And real quick side note here. It is getting very dark in France right now as Adrian Garcia goes for the move on, I believe, Newbie.
It's almost like time is moving like 4 times as fast as normal.
It is, but we will see that second round of pit stops in the dark, so maybe we'll see a mistake in the pit lane.
It certainly looks a little darker on the broadcast than it does in the cockpits of the cars right now. There's still, from like the cockpit view, quite a bit of light, but it'll get there. Again, quadruple time speed. We are already at 741.
Now, if we see a Bryce Anderson in the audience, I know he'll like this view right here. This is the Bryce Anderson signature camera.
It's a good one. It does a great job of showing speed. Again, this is a very fast section of the track, and all that scenery on the sides, it just flies by so fast. Oh, slow down there, someone.
That looks like a Lamborghini.
Donovan Johnston.
Of Donovan Johnston.
Because then, we also, we have a... coming to the pit. That must have been... That was probably scheduled.
I'd assume so.
Christopher Craig under a second from Newbie. Certainly has caught up. We certainly see some big gaps in the GTM field in like the midfield positions. But look at that pro grouping that we have there of Clayball, Ripley, and Vihil, all just about a second apart from each other.
Yeah, they are right on the edge of battling, but they're just not close enough to be getting at it down the straight. So hopefully in the next few minutes we'll see him catching up.
Boyle? Paul Boyle trying to yeah, he's trying to make an attack on McAllister there. It just, every time he keeps pulling out, he doesn't have the speed. The Ford seems to have a little bit more speed, and he can't get around. Oh,
That's not going to help him, though.
Can't dive in there. Good save.
That was close.
I wish he streamed he streams his O4A races. I wish we had his viewpoint to stream the E4A race, but I think he's trying to keep it under wraps. He definitely puts a lot of practice time in these.
Yeah, he was almost considering sharing a, what did he call it? He called it a data sheet with us. So if you call it a data sheet, you must have some mass amount of information on that thing.
And this is a tight lead for first.
Wow.
Oh, a little bit. Oh, is that a slowdown for newbie? He's pulling off.
Nah, I think that's just getting out of the way.
No, that's a slowdown. He's pulling off.
Oh boy.
Yep, he has a furled black flag.
Out of anywhere, that would be the place to get it, though.
Yeah, that hurts the least when you do it through those chicanes. You actually do only lose like a second or two.
Definitely much more tolerable than if it was, say, coming up in the next corner or two.
See, but the problem is, for his case, losing 1 second means losing first place.
It does, but again, he's got 30 minutes still, 31 minutes.
He really stayed in the lines there. Patrick Ridley, 4/10 off Clayball.
I just want to mention Zach Nurnberger, who retired. I got a notification, is now playing Football Manager 2023.
He's been playing a lot. Ripley is definitely fuel saving. Definitely fuel saving.
Does he think
Not
he won't
to
make
spoil
it?
his plans. I don't know, but he's here behind Claybaugh, and he was happily just using the draft, lifting, not getting too close. He may change his mind with when he wants to pass, soon, but he looked happy to just be behind.
Interesting. Maybe it's just
He's doing it again. Yeah.
A security thing. Let him be in control by being behind.
Yeah, I can hear him pulling off the gas.
Interesting to see.
Don McCloy in 4th place. Really, really good running for him. Obviously, he is a little bit off of the podium positions, but it's been a pretty quiet race. He's got a huge gap to Claybaugh behind, repping the highest placed Mercedes for GTD Pro, trying to match Christopher Craig, who's leading for GTDM.
Yeah, really, really spread out now, other than Patrick Ripley right here. He's the closest man on track to
Boyle and McAllister still close to each other.
Claybaugh, but the only people, I guess, within a second would be this man right here.
Got some pits there in GTDM. Glover, Johnson, I know, had a meatball.
The pit window should be coming up in about 10 minutes, but, well, I guess the absolute have to pit is in 10 minutes, but the pit window has been open for about 10 minutes as well. So people can pit at any time that they want.
I think that Ryan Glover may have, at least from what I'm looking at, I think he may have got a black flag. I think that he may have got a slowdown and didn't burn it all off, because he's sitting still in the pits for quite a while here, and my thing shows that he has a black flag. It could be for something else, I don't know, but that would be a plausible thing with how many slowdowns you get on this track.
Yeah, I mean, he's 65, 67 seconds into his pit stop, so that's definitely longer than normal. If you get a stop and go, that'll be a 40-second stop and go. So I think Glover is really in trouble right now, if that's a slowdown, or a stop and go, I mean. And it is really easy to not bleed off that slowdown enough. You think, oh, I've got time, let me just make it to the end of the straight, and then you get to the end of the straight, and you've got 5 seconds left. Well, you can only bleed off like a tenth per second. It's not, oh, get on the brakes for a second, you're fine. No, it's not that simple.
Glover now finally leaving. But yeah, I mean, like you said, like theoretically, and with 87 seconds, I have to wonder if he had a stop and go and also sped in the pits coming in or something like that? Because that's a lot.
Yeah, with the stop and go, you may be able to service your car, I think.
Yeah, it's hard to tell because, like with the tires, the car gets, you can see, but fuel's invisible. So I don't know if he got fuel in the car or not. I would maybe that was the extra time.
But yeah, like an extra 30 seconds, so that'd be 70 seconds. I don't know. It's hard to tell, really.
No, see, he goes back in. Ripley, he went out and he goes back in. Like he's backing off here. He could make a move if he wanted to, but he's choosing not to do so for now. It's giving me vibes of him and Ryan Tyler at Daytona.
Yeah, Ripley definitely knows that he's in control when he's behind. So I think he likes that spot a little bit.
Yeah, I'm usually I've mentioned it before. I prefer to be the car in front. I feel like I'm better at just pretending that the car's not there rather than being the guy behind and just worried that I'm gonna rear end someone. Which I did accidentally rear end Jeff McDonald in the O4A race on Monday. So I've done it, and I have reason to fear it. So
Shame. No. But I personally prefer to be behind because I don't have to watch my mirrors and look for somebody else's stupid move. But it's really preference.
it's kind of a we keep like it technically is a close battle on track, but they're clearly not battling right now.
No, not at all.
Paul Boyle's fallen back from McAllister about a second.
It's Roger Shank and Ryan Tyler, I believe.
Yes. Shank behind.
Now, just about as I was gonna send us into a break, action's heating up on track. This is Andrew Neri.
Got in the grass. It looked like he got in the grass at least.
And this is Donovan Johnston.
Oh, that car's beat up.
You can just see the headlights shaking.
Wobbling car.
He managed to keep it straight for the most part. But,
yeah, I think he may have used both his fast repairs already.
Yeah, and out of nowhere, Ryan Tyler and Roger Shank are right next to each other on track.
They're currently fighting for 12th place in GTD Pro. Again, a class that's been very competitive, and GTDM as well. But I mean, certainly overall in the season, also it's been unbelievable how many drivers have been all over the place on the season. Not like in a bad way. It's just there's so many competitive drivers that anyone can podium in any given race.
Yeah, it reminds me of Formula E, where there's kind of like I mean, there's obvious favorites and faster people, but it can be a toss-up at points.
Yes, I am a huge Formula E fan, so it was a little exacerbated 2 seasons ago from the stupid qualifying format that they had, but there legitimately are like 12 drivers that could win any given week in that grid at least.
Yeah, I remember that was my segue into Formula One. Just watching Formula E controversial crashes or something and laughing at how mad each person would get. But now I am completely into everything racing, so thanks Formula E.
Trying to figure out why Dave Ferrara has a black flag right now. I've seen him like letting a couple guys by, and again, I wonder if it was another case of not being able to fully burn off a slowdown.
Now Langenberg has joined this battle now, so Ripley might want to get ahead of Claybaugh and run away because Langenberg has pulled up, and he's pulled up fast on Ripley. He's already side by side, and now he's way ahead. What is Ripley's
Well, yeah,
plan?
Ripley is backing off. I mean, Langenberg, he pit, right? Like that, we didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Ripley's lifting big time, and he wasn't even close. So is he actually trying to do this in one stop? Because that was a lot of lifting that I heard him do on the straight there.
Surely he has nothing to gain from doing a one stop.
Well, I mean, you have something to gain if one stops faster than two.
I mean, yeah, but the amount that he has to lift off.
I mean, he's still there. He clearly he loses a little bit of the draft. He needs to catch up a little bit, but yeah, no, I assume Langenberg had just come into the pits. Did he?
Interesting.
Or did he not? I'm trying to. That's what I'm just trying to figure out.
There we go. Now,
It would have made sense if he did, but it won't tell. It won't say that he's on a new stint until he finishes the lap.
I don't know.
Because I mean, he was like 30 seconds ahead. He hasn't lost 30 seconds from some sort of crash or something. Yes, he pit. Okay, I just looked, and so he came into the pits, normal stop, scheduled, and will be now driving to the end.
Alrighty then.
Ripley staying again very close. I mean, he went 11 laps in the first, so he could still potentially go 3 more laps, but that's still leaving you like 10 minutes short. So, I don't know. I don't know why. Maybe he just is trying to really do 2 11-lap stints.
Surely the race is longer than 11 laps or 22 laps, though, so I don't know.
Well, it is, but it's still less fuel that you have to get later if you use less.
But he also probably could be up by McCloy, by now. I would assume.
That's a 20-second. That's 20 seconds. That's a lot to.
It is a lot, but I mean, if you think about how much he's had to lift and how much he has been lifting, I don't know. It's all speculation.
I mean, McCloy, when I look at his general laps, generally like 54s, 55s, and Ripley in the consistent 55s for most of the last little bit. So if he's been losing anything, it's been like maybe like a second per lap, and there hasn't been enough laps for it to. I think that he would still be in the same position, but now he's lost Claybaugh, his towing partner, and he'll try to use Langenberg now.
Yeah, good timing with Langenberg pitting then. And while we wait for some more battles, because Patrick Ripley's kind of just sitting there, we're going to take a very, very short break, and we'll be right back. All right, we're back, and we've got about 16 minutes of racing remaining. Patrick Ripley, that we were talking about earlier with his fuel strategy, is into the pits and has just about 4 laps to go on that fuel tank.
I don't know what exactly happened, but Vihil has now retired as well. He was in some tight battles in that midfield GTD Pro, but there must have been some incident that happened, and he is now retired from the race. But I don't. I mean, looking at GTDM, by the way. Oh, do we have it here? Yes, we do. Let's see. Just caught the. It's very interesting how many people have caught the grass on the inside of that curb. Like, I get you gotta take it as tight as you can, but people are getting risky.
And that happened just about 40 seconds ago. So that's not fun to do when you're an hour and 24 minutes into a race.
But I was gonna mention, although it has just now gone a little bit, but Christopher Craig has quite a big gap. I mean, that's a big collision.
Yeah, his car was already doing a death wobble going into the corner, so.
Yeah, and he's gonna. But Christopher Craig, really good lap on Christopher Newby behind.
That is Jeff McDonald. And Mr. Vahil.
All right, so this must have been what happened before he retired. Damaged car.
He just said no.
Yeah, okay, he just
This is the gap forming between the two. Actually, no, I think it's already there. But
oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
Actually, I think that just happened now. Yeah.
Oh.
All right, so that was not what formed the gap, but that's why it's.
I did it again.
Oh, I think we're gonna end the broadcast here, and we'll get back to you with the results.
He's driving so slow. That's a lot of damage. He was okay, and then it's not the fault of the car behind, but just the car was there and it hit him and it just speared him right into the wall.
That's a lot of damage. Yeah, you can see the death wobble there. He's crab walking. Great race for Christopher Craig is gonna come crashing down.
Yeah, he's a driver. He doesn't have a career win yet, and certainly was on pace to get that today. But oh, that hurts. Yet again, not the first person we've cursed.
Yeah, so both of our picks have now retired from the race. Mark Dillon Jr. and Christopher Craig. Well, Christopher Craig has not retired, but I don't see him taking the win either.
Yeah, I mean, certainly. He'll still be top 10 because he can come in and get it fixed. I would think that he's, as long as he doesn't, wreck and have to tow. But, when you're looking at first and at the very least, like a guaranteed podium, it's just, it's a real bummer. So, he showed a lot of pace today and has shown pace, at times throughout the season as well. So I know that we'll see him do well in a future race for sure. Doesn't have the win yet, and actually he doesn't even have a podium on the season, which is surprising. I thought that he had. I know that he had a couple podiums from GT4 last season. Ripley into the grass.
No, it's better than it could have been.
Tough to couldn't get it turned around without having to get back up again.
Good old K-turn.
But looking at the podium sitters that we've had this season, for both classes, we've had 10 different drivers place on the podium, which is great to see.
Yeah, that's a really nice amount. Let's see, we've got Christopher Newby with 6, Zach Nurnberger with 5, Mark Dillon Jr. with 3, John Kelly with 3, James Foreman has 2. Connor James 1, Jeff McDonald 1, Ryan Glover 1, Michael Delasala 1, and Richard Curry has 1. And then Terry Cocker Jr. has 5, Ryan Tyler has 3, Will Boylan has 3, Tyler Langenberg has 3, Patrick Ripley has 2. Paul Skip has 2. Brad McCombs has 2. Nick Paletti has 2. Paul Boyle has 1. And Mark Osborne has 1. That's a big list.
Yeah, it's great to see it so competitive. I mean, we got big fields. It's not easy to get top 3, but we've seen so many people do it.
Yeah, going back to the Formula E and how close everything is, it's a really tight field here.
Excuse me. Not seeing any close battles now on track. A lot of really big gaps, 20-second plus gaps, especially in the GTD field, but we got a few there, up even in the top positions of GTD Pro. We saw so much close battling at the start of this race as the tow kept the drivers together, and now retirements and damage have spread them apart.
Yeah, and we didn't really mention it, but maybe we did. Curry kind of just slipped his way up there for a P2, and Keith Roycroft in P3. I don't want to curse him, but looking good for his first podium finish of the season.
Yeah, earlier Curry and Roycroft are fighting really. Ooh, that's scary. Curry and Roycroft are fighting really hard for P3, but now they have both elevated themselves into the podium positions.
And also, an extra fact, if Terry Cowger Jr. takes pole next week, that will tie him for all-time most amount of poles in Pony Express. And he'll be tied with, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, classed driver, Dennis Diaz.
Yeah, he's had a really good season so far, but he's always everyone knows Dennis Diaz, and he was always one of the drivers that was like heir apparent to Dennis during Dennis's domination. But Terry still got wins during those seasons. It just was always Dennis, across the whole season. And then the final season of GTE, where Dennis Diaz was not a competitor, it was a very tight competition between Paul Skip and Terry Cowger Jr. And Paul Skip was able to secure the championship win in the last race.
Yeah. Was that No, that wasn't the same race, but I remember Terry Cowger Jr. and Paul Skip won very, very close battle at Daytona. I'm sure if you go back in the Pony Express channel, you can find that race broadcasted. But it was down to the wire, almost as close as we had at Daytona this season with GTD. Well, the podium at least.
Yeah, it's been a competitive season, one that still current points leader is Nicholas Paletti. Coming into the race was over 20 points up on Tyler Langenberg, just through really great consistency. Has a couple podiums, doesn't have a win yet. Let's see what Claybaugh does here. Oh yeah,
looks like he's gonna keep that thing going though.
He was running in a decent position. It's near the end of the lap, so he can come in to get a quick repair at least.
Yeah,
still sixth.
Oh, that's not gonna be good though. It's gonna.
Oh, he's not pitting.
Oh wow.
He's
Patrick
toughed
Ridley's
it out
of them.
for 8 more minutes.
Yeah, it's definitely doable. That's just 2 laps.
He'll lose the position to Paletti for sure, but I think he'll be able to stay in 7th.
Yes, that seems rather plausible.
But Claybaugh himself, another driver who's been very consistent, is 4th in the overall points. He has no wins, and he has he actually doesn't even have a podium yet, believe it or not. So he's 4th place with no podiums, and Nicholas Paletti's winning with 2. It just goes to show, what consistency and just solid races can do for you. But Terry Cowger is 3rd place after this race. He's only 5 points down on Tyler Langenberg. He currently has the full bonus points. I think that but so does Langenberg. Okay, so Langenberg will stay ahead if things finish as they are. And Nicholas Paletti will still be 1st.
I was looking at the stats earlier, and I was really surprised by the amount of people up there in the standings without a podium or a win. I think one of them was Claybaugh. He doesn't have a win, but he was like way up there in the standings. I know you just said it, but it slipped my mind at this point.
Claybaugh's 4th, no wins, no podiums, but still 4th place 20 points ahead of Paul Skip, and about 40 points behind Terry Kegger Jr.
Yes, and then the other one I was thinking of was leader of GTD Pro, Paletti, with no wins, no poles.
No, he's no poles. Yeah, he has 2 podiums though at
Yes.
Nürburgring and the last race.
Yep.
And then looking at for the GTD AM points, obviously Christopher Newby leading both this race now, leading the total points by quite a lot. He's won. This will be his 5th race of the season, I believe. James Foreman, 2nd place. James Foreman has no wins this season.
If he crashes, I think I'm going to have to get a new co-commentator.
Yes.
You're too
Newby
dangerous.
has not been... Newby and Kegger Jr. have both been 2 drivers that have been pretty immune from the curse this season so far. We've talked about them a lot, and they've pretty much always consistently been able to put in great race results. But James Foreman, 2nd place. He doesn't have a win. Zach Nuremberger is in 3rd place, but he actually has the 2nd most podiums for GTD AM. He has 5 podiums on the season, followed by Mark Dillon Jr. there in 4th, who does have 2 wins, and then Daniel Hingley is in 5th. So interesting to see that. And Daniel Hingley, a driver who doesn't have a podium, but still racing, 5th in the points. It's a long season. Drop weeks are going to come into effect soon, in a couple of weeks, but really cool to see the field right now.
For sure. And let's see now. Christopher Newby, for your sake, I am knocking on wood. Just know that. Seems like our numbers are a little messed up here tonight. Not sure why.
Yeah, I noticed that as well.
Side of the cars. I've been noticing that on almost all of them, but nothing has changed, I don't think. Anyways, we've got 3.5 minutes left in this race.
Yeah, and like I said, Paletti's about to get Clayball. Sure, obviously Clayball's not going to do anything to hold up his teammate and friend. So he's going to tough it out with the car, but his gap to McAllister behind after Paletti gets around will be fine. But that's Newby right there, race leader for GTDM behind those 2.
Yes, it is.
Curry's not that far off. One slowdown from Newby, and then Curry's there,
Yeah. It could happen. I mean, that gap is really coming down, I think. Wasn't that about 4 seconds last lap?
Yeah, it's he's been putting in some pretty fast laps at the end here. His fastest lap was last lap. It was a 3:55.2, and Christopher Newby put in a 3:56.2. So yes, exactly 1 second. Good call on that.
So I
Getting
think
slow down here, Newby.
either this or the next lap will be the last lap.
Yeah, Terry is just past the Arnage hairpin right now.
I'm not sure if that makes...
Sorry, Molzon hairpin. My bad.
I think we'll have another lap of racing.
Yeah, I don't think that he would have got it. Wow, Newby getting really helped out there by being able to get to the front of that group. Paletti and Claybaugh. Not what Curry wants to see is to see 2 cars between the 2.
It's not, but when you think about he was about 4 seconds back just 2 laps ago, now it's 2 seconds. What is happening to Newby?
Well, Newby got slowed down coming out of Touch Rouge because both of those drivers were there, and he kind of had to weave his way through it. So he has lost a gap, but he's gained, obstacles.
Yeah.
Claybaugh has to let Curry by here again. Claybaugh's got a lot of damage, but it makes Curry have to take the chicane a little bit slower.
Yeah.
Not optimal.
If you're Curry and you can see that win, just, I don't know, that looks like 500 feet ahead of you. What's going through
We saw
your head?
last week come down to the last couple laps as well for GTDM. I mean, I think that he has to feel pretty confident. I mean, he took a second out of Newby on the previous lap. So if he thinks that he's still got more pace in him, maybe that BMW's just, handling him better than the Porsche of Newby. But I mean, Newby's fastest lap, that was lap 8 versus Curry, who's on it. Like he's in his best form right now.
Well, I suppose we'll see in about, well, we've got 30 seconds to the end of the race, so white flag is flying for Terry Cowger Jr. right now.
Yep, coming across.
So they've got one more lap of racing to duke it out. And
Yeah, this was a late white.
Decide it, yeah.
Oh, Clayball actually has a meatball, but I think again you have to serve it within so many laps. I'm trying to remember exactly. I think he's fine.
You should be good.
Yeah, but with this extra lap, I just wasn't sure. I was trying to. I think it's 3 laps, and I think this will be 3 laps that he's run when he crosses the line. So barely making it by without having to do a pit.
Just barely. That gap is starting to go back up a little bit. So I think it looks like it's good for Christopher Newby, but I don't know. It's hard to tell. I think he'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only battle for us to really keep an eye on right now. Tyler Langenberg has certainly cut down the gap a lot from Terry Kiger Jr. than it was before. It's not close enough that we're talking about, him passing for the lead, but 4 seconds back, it was larger before, and he was actually in third for a little bit as well. So that's a pretty good gap from, and again, him and Terry are both the only 2 drivers to have 0 incidents so far. So they're both putting in pretty perfect races.
They are. There's also Roger Shank there, being followed very closely by Paul Boyle, and now Keith Roycroft as well, with Brad McCombs.
Oh, spin back there. Was that Roycroft that spun back there? No, it was not. Who was that?
That would be Christopher Craig.
No, Ryan Tyler. Ryan Tyler.
Both Mercedes. I was close.
Coming into the final one, I bet he clobbers the, yeah.
Yep.
Those are big curbs. Oh. Goes around Clayball there.
That's McCombs. And Roycroft. And this is Newby and Paletti. Terry Kiger Jr. does not have long now until he can cross that line and take a well-deserved victory. He led almost every lap other than the ones that Patrick Ripley stole when he didn't pit.
Not only that, but we've also doing a Terry Kiger classic of his fastest lap was just 2 laps ago. So most drivers, the tires are worn down a little bit, and their fastest is, near the first half of the race, maybe after the first pit or something. No, he's still speeding up. I know the track's cooling down from nighttime, but very impressive to do still.
Yes, it is. Now, not looking like we're going to see much down in GTD, so we will give a wonderful view for Terry Kiger Jr. as he gets ready to go into the final few corners. Terry Kiger Jr. Will take another win here at Le Mans, and just really well deserved. Not much else to say about it. Dominant pretty much all race.
Yeah, great race by Tyler Langenberg as well. I don't think either driver really made hardly any mistake all race long.
Yeah, now this is Christopher Newby, our leader of GTD AM, going through those corners we just watched Terry go through. Richard Curry, 1.8 seconds back, but it's not going to be enough as we come really, really, really close now to the end of this race.
Yeah, that gap between Newby and Curry, 1.7, but yeah, Curry will probably wish that the race was just a little bit longer.
So we've got a few more stats about Terry. As we wait.
Richard Curry loses it in Porsche.
Oh, there he is. Yeah.
Luckily, he saved it. That was a great save. So he's not going to lose more than he luckily didn't crash. But yeah,
Great save from him. But Christopher Newby coming into the final few turns. Wonderful race from him. Very well deserved. If he can keep it clean, he does. Christopher Newby's going to win in France and take a beautiful checkered flag at nighttime, followed by Richard Curry in the background there. Some extra info from Mark Dillon Jr. After leading 20 laps tonight, Terry is still 800 lead laps behind Dennis Diaz. And Terry's win tonight puts him 15 wins behind Dennis. So
Terry wants some shorter tracks so he can get some more laps in.
Yeah, he needs to get those laps in on the tracks that you get maybe 100 laps per race. Like what would that be? Mosport?
We should do like, a third mile, paved oval or something.
There you go.
Lanier.
I don't know how well we'd fit 37 GT3 cars on that track though.
I'm sure we can make it work. Yeah, we still got a lot of drivers out there. It's just unfortunate, not a lot of tight battles. Do have De La Sala there, just a couple seconds behind Christopher Craig for 7th and 8th. Christopher Craig probably happy to be in 7th, given that the really big crash that he had. So certainly a good recovery after what could have been. He could have quit out then. He certainly could have, but he stayed in, and 7th place is still good points.
Yeah, he's still going to bring home some good points, and, points are points, really.
It's great to see right now. Richard Curry has now got 2 podiums back-to-back. Currently 10th place in the points. Will certainly move up at least a few positions from that. Keith Roycroft with his first podium of the season. He's in 12th. Obviously, Newby's done really well. And looking at E for the GTD Pro points, Paul Skip in 5th will close up a gap on Aaron Claybaugh in front. Aaron Claybaugh finishing 10th. He ended up losing more than I thought he would.
Yeah, interesting. But that's going to be it as Michael De La Sala maybe runs out of gas in the final few corners.
Wow.
But he brings it across the line, luckily. And that's our race tonight. So we will see a few interviews in the coming few minutes, and that'll be that. But let's go over our results first here tonight. In GTD Pro, Terry Cowger Jr. takes the win. I believe that's his 14th win in Pony Express, followed by Tyler Langenberg, Paul Skip, Don McCloy, Patrick Ripley, Nicholas Paletti, Gareth McAllister, Brad McCombs, Ryan Tyler, Aaron Claybaugh, Roger Schenk, Paul Boyle, Adrian Garcia Vahil, Steve Coubet, Andrew Neri, Sasha Kempter, Marcus Osborne, Will Borland, and that's it for GTD Pro.
Our GTD-AM results, race winner Christopher Newby, followed by Richard Curry, Keith Roycroft, John Kelly, James Foreman, Jeff McDonald, Christopher Craig, Michael De La Sala, Ryan Glover, Dave Ferrara rounding out the top 10, followed by Donovan Johnston, Zach Nurnberger, Daniel Real, James Kingsbury, Dustin Dos Weiss, Mark Dillon Jr., Daniel Barnett, and Steven Shepard.
And Daniel Hingley.
Oh, Daniel Hingley, sorry.
Who I don't think took the start.
No, I noticed he was trying to get in, but I think he got dropped due to packet loss like 7 times.
Well, he's here in spirit. But all right, so seems like we've got some interviews to do.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see, third place, Keith Roycroft, not in booth yet. So then I will see if he gets in later. I'll move to Richard Curry, second place, back-to-back podium. Richard, get me in the booth here.
Hey.
That's podium 2 out of 2 as far as 2 weeks. You had a great race last week. Did you expect to put it in second place this week?
Not earlier tonight, no. I'd been doing some practice in the Porsche and it just wasn't quick. And I switched back over to the BM and found some speed. So really pleased with the podium.
What was what was going through your head at the end? It was starting to, you were catching up to Christopher Newby, and it was getting in, real attacking distance.
Yeah, the time was just coming. Since we came out of the pits, I think the distance was 10 seconds or so. I was just taking a bit of time out of every lap. So when it came down to 2 seconds in the last lap, I thought, yeah, maybe I'll get him. But I was trying to take too much out of the tires at the end.
Yeah, and to expand on that, I was curious. Out of a 26 lap race, your fastest lap was actually lap 24. So obviously the track was cooling down because it was getting darker. But how were you able to still pull out that maximum pace that late into the race?
I have no idea. Christopher was losing a bit of time in the dark. He was struggling to see his apexes and that, and I was able to see them mine okay. So I was able to maintain the pace. The tires felt really good at the end, and yeah, I just tried to keep on taking time out of him, but it just wasn't enough at the end.
Yeah, you had some pretty tight battles with Keith Roycroft earlier in the race. How were during that when you were fighting for, I think it was third and fourth? What was going through your head trying to still focus on the rest of the race when you got a car so close to you?
Yeah, I think you just got to trust the guy who you're racing against, and Keith will give you room. Yeah, we had a good battle, but I was just able to get a bit of pace and put out a gap, and then at the pit stops I was well clear of him. So, but no, you gotta trust who you're racing against.
Yeah, it was a very clean race run by you again. That's back-to-back podiums. So great points brought home again.
Yeah, I think that just cutting out the mistakes has been a big thing for me.
So third place last week, second place this week. Are you going to win next week? Then is the trend going to continue?
Where are we next week?
Montreal.
Oh, I've not raced it before on this game. Yeah, I've not raced it before. We'll see.
Again, if the stats say you'll win, if you continue the trend.
Can we just give me the result now? Is that what we'll do?
Yeah, we can put that in tentatively. But good luck with next week's race. It'll be a great track, and hope to see you in the booth again.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Have a good. Bye. All right, that was Richard Curry, second place finisher for GTDM, and I'm going to pull in our race winner for GTDM, Christopher Newby. Chris, get me in the booth.
Hello.
Well, that's another win. I believe that's win number 5 on the season. Pretty much a faultless race for the most part. Where do you think that you found the most success in that race?
Yeah, I mean, there was guys out there that I think were quicker than me. I think certainly Christopher Craig and Danielle was really quick. I think the best part was during the daylight. I was able to still do pretty good pace, and I say a couple of other people in front of me were making mistakes, and I suddenly found myself in the league. And I think Christopher Craig caught me back up, and then just as it transitioned into dark, he went past me and took off into the distance. And then I was thinking, yeah, all I've got is second, and he had that mistake just before Tete Rouge.
What was going through your head at the end of the race? It certainly started to get a lot closer for that battle for the lead with Richard Curry. Were you worried at any point with him catching up to you?
Yeah, I could see that he was much quicker than me. I think it's just in the dark. I haven't had a lot of practice and didn't have any references for braking and turning in, and obviously he was doing a much better job than me. And yeah, I honestly, I think with about 2 laps to go, I'm thinking he was going to catch me. And then I think Nick Poletti came along and he got in front of me and started giving me a tow, which was very helpful. And eventually I think the issue with and Claybore coming through Tetra Rouge again. I got in front, and then it was able to keep Nick between me and Richard till the end.
And I also wondered, how are your? Do you think that you were experiencing like tire wear at the end? I just noticed your fastest lap of the race was the eighth lap of the 26. I know you said that you were feeling less comfortable with the nighttime conditions, but were the tires starting to go off a little bit as well?
No, I never felt any issue with the tires. It's a turning a certain traction. It was all fine. It was just, I think it was just me hesitating. Particularly going say some of the fast corners where it's quite wide. You kind of, as you approach it, because it's so dark, you just cannot see where the apex is. And sometimes you end up turning early, and then you have to correct it, and you end up just giving away time.
Well, you currently have won over half of the races so far this season. Next week we have Montreal. Is that another race that you think you'll have a fighting chance with?
I've never done it before on iRacing at least. So yeah, it's something I have to practice and see how I do.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously not one that I think a ton of people have done a GT3 race at. So you're not alone in that boat. But I know you'll get to practice on that, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you in the booth again next week.
Yeah.
You have a good night, Chris.
You too.
All right, that was our race winner for GTDM, Christopher Newby. Now, still don't see Keith Roycroft, so going to move on to GTD Pro. Our third place finisher was Paul Skip. I don't see him, so going to move to second, Tyler Langenberg. Tyler, you getting me in the booth?
Hello.
Well, that was as far as a full race, I think you can say that was pretty much faultless. Do you think that other than the quality, do you feel like you qualified maybe a little bit out of position in that race?
Ultimately on the first lap, one of the drivers ahead of me got a slowdown on the first chicane, and they checked up in a bad place, which ultimately did cost me the win at the end. I feel like because we immediately lost the draft to like the lead pack, and obviously I was able to get it back, but I also have to attribute I had zero confidence in the car like during like the hot hours in the daylight, but once night hit and the car could grip, I had full confidence in it. So yeah, I think the checking up at the beginning ultimately cost me the win. And other than that, I don't think I had a fault throughout that race.
No, yeah, you had zero incidents. Certainly didn't see anything bad happen from that. You led the session in practice. You had the fastest practice time put in. Qualified seventh, quickly made your way up the field. You stuck with the BMW, and a lot of people switched to the Porsche. At any point did you consider trying out the Porsche with how many people were doing it, or are you? I mean, I think you've used the BMW every race this season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sticking with it for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of like a realistic manufacturer thing. Like you can't switch your car every week unless you're Cooper McNeil, but you know.
I totally agree. I always stick with one. Again, you were catching up. Where at the end of that race, where were you finding that late race pace to start to actually close that gap to Terry in front?
Yes, like I was saying, like during the day, like through the Porsche curves and like the first like quarter of the track up to Tetra Rouge, like I couldn't like grip the car like I was in practice. Like it was just rear end was a bit slidey. But like once the sun went down, the track cooled off. Uh, the Beamer was quick. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, you had some battling during the race with Paul Skip, where two of you couldn't really get too far apart from each other. Obviously, that was pretty early in the race. So what's your mentality with handling a tight battle like that, especially on a track where you can't really get away with the toe sometimes?
Um, I mean, I did close up on him pretty quick, so I knew like if I wanted to like have a chance at Terry, like I'd have to get him like ASAP. So like whatever, I think it was like my second or third opportunity like to be able to, because like I want to be able to pass him safely. I don't want to junk him. I want to protect my car. Yeah. Ultimately, I just needed to pass him as soon as possible if I wanted a chance. But even if I went for that first opportunity, I don't think I would have been able to get Terry. And then after that, I think I just buggered off from him. I honestly don't remember after that.
Overall, fantastic race by you. Obviously, didn't quite have the amount of time to catch up at the very end. But after this race, again, you got the 4 points from the safety bonus. Only you and Terry both did that, and that secures you still being second place in the E4A GTD Pro Championship points. So with next week being Montreal, or is it?
I'm saying Fuji. Like, I don't know.
I was looking. It says Montreal in the E4A, the GTDM ones. Now I'm gonna have to figure it's
on
it's either Montreal or Fuji.
On the schedule, I see Fuji. Like in the
Okay.
Discord one, so I see Fuji. But either track I like. So
Okay. Well, I scared. I need to like message the previous guys in the booth because I told them it was Montreal. All right, Fuji. Very high speed track. Lots of passing opportunities. It's pretty new to the service, but do you think that you're gonna do well there?
I'm not sure because I'm not really good at. Because like, I know next week if it's Fuji, it's gonna be a tire wear track, purely because of like that couple of sweeping right-handers. And there's a long right-handers.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a tire wear track. I'll tell you that. I don't know how good I'm gonna do with that or not, but it's gonna be one.
Well, you have now 4 podiums on the season, and hope to see you on the podium and in the booth again next week.
Yep, 10-4. Thank you.
Have a good night. That was second place finisher Tyler Langenberg. Finally, because I do not see Paul Skip or Keith Roycroft, are going to pull in race winner Terry Kiger Jr. Terry, get me in the booth.
I got you.
That is win number 5, podium number 6 on just 9 races. Pretty faultless. You had the 0x. You got the 4 bonus points. I mean, through that race, where did you find you got pole? So you never had to deal with anybody in front of you. How did you find that much pace? Where were you? Where'd you feel like you were strongest at on this track?
I'd have to say at first I feel like it was in the Porsche curves and probably the 2 bus stops. But it was tricky even trying to find good pace through there because you go just a hair over that line and you're in the wall or at least sliding and not having a good day.
Yeah, you had a lot of people copying you today, running the Porsche, which on a weekly basis most people are not running it. It kind of bit a lot of the people who I don't think had as much experience with it. It seems to be a pretty unruly car, but how do you tame it so well to race all these clean races?
I noticed that too, and I kind of mentioned that to Mark right before the race started in chat that a lot more people were in the Porsche this week. But as far as taming it, I don't know. I think it just fits my driving style. Because to me, it's got a lot of rear grip, and I can get back on the throttle as fast as I want to, 99% of the time. But I think it's just a product of my personal decision of sticking with the same car every week and learning what it likes and what it doesn't like. So, when iRacing does make their BOP changes, I'm not trying to figure out multiple different cars. I can just stick with the one and figure it out and go from there.
It did seem like late race, Tyler Langenberg was starting to catch up a little bit. It was an average little gap behind. You've certainly won races by more this season. Do you what do you think was happening late in the race? Were you starting to just play it a little bit more safe, or do you think that because he was in a different car, of course, do you think he was finding pace somewhere late in that race that you weren't?
I think it was a couple different things. I didn't do very much practice at night, And so once the sun went down, I was taking it easier than I had been during the day. And on the last lap, I think I tried like 3 different times to give the race away. Um, so, Le Mans is one of those tracks that's so long and so much straightaways so that you kind of lose focus of where you're at sometimes, especially at nighttime.
That's exactly what I call. I said this track's horrible. With you just start to fall asleep, and you're like, wait, where am I supposed to
Yes,
brake again?
exactly.
Now next week, as I think reliably been informed now, Fuji, another very long straight, but only one of them for this one. New to the service, so I know a lot of people don't have experience with it. But have you already raced in it with the GT3s at Fuji?
No, I have not. I think I've got maybe a total of 5 laps of practice when it, first came out. And that's about it. So I'm going to be working hard this weekend trying to learn it and figure it out.
I don't doubt you one second. Good luck with next week, and then that's your third pole on the season. So you're leading GT Pro in poles, fifth win, leading that, sixth podium, leading that. So, good luck with that. I think Tom brought up a stat during the broadcast that that is your 15th pole, I think, for E4A as a whole. So, congratulations on that. But I do think that the stat was that you had. I'm trying to imagine. It was like 800 laps to pass Dennis
Dennis,
Diaz's lead
yes,
laps.
yes.
So
I think
you
I
got
need one more
200 on the
pole
season. You know.
Okay, I think I need one more pole to tie him, and then a whole lot of laps to catch that.
Well, good luck on making that gap a little bit smaller next week, and you have a good night.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
That was our race winner, Terry Kiger Jr.
So that looks like that wraps up the interviews tonight, I believe.
Yep. Yeah. I think our third place finishers didn't know that they were receiving an interview. I said I wanted to see Keith in the booth, and then Paul. Paul had a third place in the first race, and he wasn't. So both those guys we still haven't talked to.
Unfortunate, but I'm sure we'll see him on the podium again, and we can talk to him then, hopefully. But next week we have Fuji, as confirmed by Mark Dillon Jr., and I think that'll be a pretty fun race. It's a newer track that we haven't seen before, and it'll be fun.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Well, have a good night, everybody.